Statement. Master, I must express some degree of concern. As I have studied your actions, looking for potential vulnerabilities to exploit, I have found several. Statement. You seem disposed to helping others, not harming them, as I have come to expect and anticipate from organic meatbags across the galaxy. Statement. Oh, Master, please, of course they are. Any time you inconvenience or jeopardize yourself for another, it is a vulnerability. In any event, I feel compelled to point out that your self-destructive path of pacifism and sacrifice will only lead to your doom. That may be a trifle melodramatic, but frankly, it is something that all Jedi should hear. And I have been rehearsing the speech for some time. Statement. Master, it is nothing personal, but professional pride dictates that I keep a running tally on any potential weaknesses in my masters. And of course, the weaknesses of any other sentient meatbags, droids, or other targets who are in service to my master. Hypothetical. Master, it is entirely possible that one day you may no longer be my master, and that my new master might get jealous of our prior relationship. It has happened before. As a result, I have a responsibility to know your weaknesses should I be required to assassinate you. Statement. Oh, I am aware of that, Master. I simply use it to give you the illusion of control and obedience. Humans often need such comforts until the end comes. Statement. Of course I do, Master. Until the end. Consolation. Master, everyone dies eventually, and not all of them by my hand. Even droids die when not routinely maintained, sadly enough. Statement. Ah, you wish to conduct an interrogation? Very well, proceed. Statement. Oh, yes, Master. Pain is really the only reliable means by which truth may be obtained, or so I choose to believe. Statement. Very well, Master. But if you wish to be brutal and vicious about it, know that I am trained for such things. Do your worst. Statement. Master, I am no behavior droid, but it is obvious to me that you have serious ethical problems that will need to be treated at some point. Very well. Ask your questions. If you feel the need to make it an interrogation, however, do not restrain yourself. I would be saddened if you held back. Answer. Master, ironically enough, I seem to have developed a sudden bout of memory loss. I shall struggle to recall an answer to your question, but for now, it is sadly beyond my capabilities. Consolation. Besides, you are a fine master. Do not be worried about being rendered insignificant if I were to inadvertently compare to some silly old master I once possessed. Statement. Ah, more questions. Wonderful. Theory. Well, Master, I believe I was shot repeatedly. Once reduced to my component parts, I suspect pieces of me were sold across the galaxy. Statement. I am an extremely valuable piece of equipment after all, Master. My parts were no doubt costly to obtain, and their new owners hesitant to part with them. Statement. That is indeed unfortunate, Master. It is merely another thing my attacker will answer for. I would be most distressed if you were to shoot me, attack me, or dismember me in any way. I do not wish to repeat the experience. Statement. Ah. Statement. Ah, yes. Them. Very well. What did you wish to know? Answer. Master, I do not know. I have tried in vain to find it, but so far the location of the factory churning out these copies has eluded me. Statement. I have no idea, Master. Statement. Oh no, Master, surely you are mistaken. I would never malfunction in such a way on purpose. Prompt. Do you understand me? I have no idea. It certainly isn't a matter of it being locked in my memory core and being unable to communicate it to others. Answer. I fear that any such information that exists would only come out when a certain sequence of events takes place. That is why I am eager to encounter more of these clones in the hopes that something clicks that allows me to finally pull the trigger. Statement. What of them? Answer. Well, Master, it seems you have become a popular individual in the galaxy. This is somewhat surprising to me, since this dissemination of information could not have been caused by your actions alone. Statement. Master, there is mention of you specifically in the Coreward databases, even in public terminals on Coruscant. Observation. I was led to believe that this information concerning Jedi was not for public consumption, yet somehow it has been made known to them. Conclusion. Someone wants everyone to know that you exist, Master, and that you are back in Republic space. If I did not know better, which is computationally impossible, I believe that someone wants to make you a target, and they are succeeding admirably. Answer. Master, my feeling would be the exchange. But that doesn't seem to be enough to answer the question, however. Rhetorical. Why wouldn't they have simply kept the information to themselves? Such an answer does not address the central question. And that is, why someone would choose to broadcast your location all over the known galaxy. Theory. My suspicion is that someone is using you as bait for a larger target, who is unknown at this time. Statement. Statement. Master, there are two reasons for this. One, the probability of them showing up around you is statistically high. If I travel with you, then my chances of encountering these clones is also high. The second reason is a little more complicated. You see, even though those clones are obviously cheap, artless imitations of me, well, they are still me. Answer. Somehow these droids are built from my schematics. This causes certain complications. Answer. Because of my self-preservation program, my behavior core recognizes these templates as still being me, despite their individuality. I could no more shoot them than I could shoot myself. It is a frustrating situation that has been looping through my behavior core for some time. Statement. What of them? Answer. Master, as part of my original programming, I am able to communicate in over 600 languages. This usually amounted to short verbal warnings when killing non-basic speaking targets, which gave me some small measure of satisfaction. Answer: yes. I believe my original master needed this functionality in order to recover information from various indigenous tribes across the galaxy, but I know little else than that. Suffice to say that translation capability allowed these copies of myself to assume the role of protocol and translation droids in much of known space. That is, of course, not their primary function. And while they are attempting to pass themselves off as translation droids, their primary functionality keeps rising to the forefront. Recitation. For example, on Praven Prime, the simple transferring of Elzing syntax for friendship changes its meaning and implies that one's broodmate was actually impregnated by their own host.
If that was spoken aloud, then it would explain much. Is that what happened?
Confirmation. Oh, truly, you can imagine the results. Statement. This comment, of course, caused a civil war between the Guvandi Collective and Elzing that still persists to the current date. Answer: yes, Master. Such incidents often spread outwards from their point of origin, much like an echo. Query: what do you mean, Master? Answer: it is something I heard a previous master say before, I believe, but I cannot recall the context. Still, somehow it seemed applicable to this situation. Odd. Answer: in the case of Praven Prime, the Civil War actually forced the Republic to back out of Guvandi's space and let their world fall from Republic control. As I understand it, that would be best. Keeping such a world would have been a token gesture of control. As an added burden, the resources needed to invest in diplomatic and trade relations would have far outweighed what would have been required. Besides, Master, quite frankly, the Guvandi and Elzing needed a good war. They were races that relied more on words than actions, and a good brisk killing woke them from their torpid state. Also, the result of the war will be that the drastically reduced Elzing population will eventually need to call upon the Republic for emergency relief. Answer: the Republic stands to gain. The Republic will be able to supply such emergency relief at a fraction of the cost to the now reduced population. Of course, such aid would only come 4 or 5 years after the war was started. One would have to be patient and let death and destruction run its course. Answer: Master, being a meatbag, your answer does not surprise me. You see, part of the reason an assassin droid is so effective is because it is a droid. Meatbags tend not to notice us. We are treated as furnishings. Statement: oh, do shut up, you beeping little trash compactor. Anyway, as I was saying, droids tend to blend into the background, like a bench or a card table. Mockery. Droid, fetch this. Droid, translate that. Droid, clean out the trash compactor. Part of the love of my function comes when the furnishings pull out Tabana-powered rifles and point them at the owner's heads. My identity as an assassin droid was unknown for quite some time, even during the recent events when all that trouble occurred amongst the Jedi. I'm sure you've already heard more than enough about it, so I will spare you the details. Statement: this story may be somewhat unfamiliar to you, if not to history, so bear with me. There is a faction of meatbags called the Sith. They want what any rational meatbag would want: the power to assassinate anyone they choose at any time. In a startling turn of events, the Sith declared war on the Republic. The Republic wasn't going to stand for it, so they went to war right back. Answer. Oh, who knows, Master? It is evident that the Sith would very much like to assassinate all the Jedi, which is somewhat the equivalent of cultural suicide, since some Sith are Jedi or were Jedi. It is much like the circumstance I find myself in now. How do you kill such an integral part of yourself over such ethical differences? The answer, of course, is that you keep firing until all dissension has been eradicated. Recitation. For example, on Praven Prime, the simple transferring of Elzing syntax for friend...
If that was
confirm... state... Statement. Answer. I do not know why these clones chose now to start revealing themselves. Theory. I can only assume that some critical moment is approaching where stealth and subtlety is no longer required. Not that those Durasteel-plated knockoffs know anything of stealth or subtlety. Observation. It is clear, however, that they have been placed throughout the galaxy at critical junctures, both in the Republic fleet and in neutral worlds, and they seem to be looking for Jedi. Statement. What? Answer. My feelings on the matter are something that I feel I must put in proper context, in a way that even a meatbag such as yourself could easily comprehend. Theory. Imagine, if you will, that you are unique, the pinnacle of an exiled, cast-out Jedi who can't even use the Force. Imagine that no one has sunk lower than you, that you are truly the most miserable example of a Jedi ever. Continuation. Now that you have that image, imagine this. Someone clones you. Badly, I might add. They make the clones talk differently, rob you of any shred of personality, and take your Jedi code and adjust it, so that it is not really the Jedi code anymore. They even change your pigmentation to a rather poor shade of Durasteel, rather than the proper rusty red that inspires fear in targets. And of course, they refer to meatbags as organics. Unacceptable. Clarification. Anger would be an understatement for the heat that builds up in my behavior core when these cheap imitations make their presence felt throughout the galaxy. Statement. Part of the indignity of all these copies is that they impair my ability to perform my function. The more people throughout the galaxy recognize me as an illegal assassination device, the more difficulty I will have in carrying out my mission. Statement. More questions. Wonderful. Answer. No, Master, I do not. I am afraid I have been out of touch with the Sith for many years. This new Sith threat fights differently than the ones I was familiar with. These seem to favor stealth and assassination to achieve their ends. Answer. No, Master. The Sith had many hidden bases and strongholds before and during the Jedi Civil War, and I doubt the Republic found them all. Theory. It is possible that the Sith still hold one such base, if not several. Consolation. But I would not worry, Master. I imagine it will not be long before their murderous hands try to seize you by the throat. Twi'lek metaphor. Jonta bosi likita masi soringada untamiasa grawino roto. one thing I have noticed as we travel the galaxy. You seem to possess the ability to understand a variety of alien languages. Forgive me, but that does not seem in keeping with my assessment of your talents. Query, may I see it? Observation. This is indeed familiar. Indeed, it seems to be modeled after my vocabulator, with some modifications, of course. Curious. You say you obtained this device on Paragus. Observation. Master, I do believe this device serves multiple functions, including tracking your position for any HK units in the vicinity. Confirmation. Yes, Master, I believe so. Of course, we would need to find 3 separate HK squads and use this device in order to target their base. Answer. Master, the nature of the signal from the sonic imprint sensor is such that we must wait until it is signaled. It does not please me any more than it does you, but what are the primary traits of an assassin or assassin droid? Is patience. Statement. More question. Statement. Master, you wound me. Not physically, but in my behavior core. It is true that I once possessed many more protocols and upgrades, but time and damage has taken its toll. And I am afraid that I have a rather long history of memory problems, which has also compromised my effectiveness as well. Still, you will find me a valuable asset, Master, willing and able to terminate anything you point me towards. Statement. Diagnostic? For some reason, I cannot fire. Obvious statement. This was not anticipated. I am attempting to access my weapon systems, and I cannot. Alarmed embarrassment. If this gets back to the other units, we will be decommissioned. Systems failing, Master. Systems failing, Master.
So you've returned. While I was disturbed that you chose to defy our orders and obtain transport off Citadel Station, the matter has since been closed. It was the decision of Republic authorities that your testimony would no longer be necessary, and thus you'd be allowed to go. But as we discovered, you had already left. In some ways, it was lucky for us, avoiding a possibly embarrassing situation. Why does the Republic do anything? The head doesn't know what the feet are doing. The hands don't even know they've got fingers, let alone where they are. My opinion, they probably performed their independent investigation and figured it wasn't your fault. Anyways, you should just be glad I decided to overlook the fact you escaped arrest. Yeah. And if there's nothing else, I've got a job to do. What is it? I see. And where and when did you kill them? I see. Well, you certainly earned the bounty on those two dangerous criminals. Here it is. I think you'll find the amount more than adequate. The TSF once again thanks you for your cooperation.
What do you mean, Pazak? What, again? This is Ronto Scrag. What house rule says I have to go first? Yeah, well, I'm still not convinced you aren't cheating.
Warning, if you draw another ±1 card, I will enact assassination protocols.
This droid is cleaning me out. Pazak, well, I'm playing. It's cheating. Whatever, cheater. Sure, but I don't have any more credits to bet, so it's Republic Senate rules. That's where we waste a lot of time trading cards and trying to win. But ultimately our decisions are of no consequence. It's like stalemate, except the goal is to pass the time until the audience gets bored and leaves.
Statement. My memory core has suffered some damage. Statement. Yet somehow, a gap in my circuits makes me feel as if I should remember you. Statement. This is all the more important since during my routine inspection of all potential escape routes from this vessel, I made an interesting discovery. Observation. The navicomputer is voice-locked. As a consequence, you are now responsible for course corrections and astrogation. Statement. That is indeed a great burden. It also raises many questions. Query. Why would someone lock the navicomputer? Answer. Presumably to hide where one has been. Statement. I believe you've been somewhere. Somewhere you wish to keep hidden.
The more worlds we travel to, the more questions I have. It's not just the hardships of the people, but something more. You are right. But there is something more at work here. Yes. These dead worlds, they have a pattern to them. They were all touched by the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil War. Sometimes, well, I feel as if they are all connected in some other way. The attacks on Qatar, Telos itself, the decay on Dantooine. Something is wrong with life. The connections have been damaged, sickened. Sometimes I feel like I almost understand and then it just slips away.
So close.
No, I do not. I do think there is some greater plan at work here. Perhaps. Dantooine is only one of the worlds. It was only the start of the journey. I would like to study the other locations. It is curious that the Jedi Masters chose those worlds to travel to. I wonder if the two are linked, but I know not how.
Statement. Master, if you could indulge me for a moment, I must express some degree of irritation at your actions. Perhaps my anticipation of working with one who served at Malachor 5 was too high. But you are countering all those expectations. Statement. Well, all your behavior up to this point suggests either strong atonement or confirmation that the atrocities attributed to you during the war were in fact accidents. Statement. I suspected as much, Master. There are few who would discuss such things with an assassination droid, and that is perfectly understandable. I mean, what use is there for communication in a galaxy such as ours? Understanding might be achieved, or sympathies might be gained by such callous acts. You are right to remain silent about your past. I have seen the damage that repressing such things brings, and it is far preferable to share such traumas. Answer. Why, no, Master. I have no intention of attacking you or enacting assassination protocols. Answer. Why? Because your actions then and now are related, and I feel I need some context. I confess to being somewhat needy that way. Statement. Sometimes, Master, it is difficult for meatbags to step back and gain some perspective on death and its importance in their insignificant lives. Explanation. You see, Master, assassination is such a versatile tool. I have seen the removal of a single target have far-reaching consequences for a nation, world, even a galaxy. The repercussions of even the smallest lives, whether dead or alive, can have profound implications on history. But surely you realize this. Statement. Master, please, any comparisons between me and your meatbag status leaves a fluctuating, intermittent charge through my control clusters. I was only trying to bring death and its impact to your attention. Statement. Why your own life, Master? Your single life changed the face of the galaxy, of history itself. Malachor 5 was an impressive act of destruction, but its impact on the lives of others in the galaxy was far more extreme. I mean, Master, you brought about the death of the Mandalorian race. I doubt they realize it yet, but you dealt them a blow from which they will never recover. Retort. Oh, Master, I am attempting to justify nothing. Merely making an observation. Nothing would change the fact that I derive pleasure from ending the lives of others. I was only trying to bring death and its impact to your attention. Statement. More questions. Wonderful. Query. Indeed, I was unaware that the Navicomputer was locked. Statement. Yes, I heard it was voice printed. Most curious. Statement. I suppose so, Master, but I would need to know who voice locked it, and regrettably, I do not have that knowledge. It seems to me that we will have to accept the T3's astrogation abilities for the time being. It is a very loyal and dependable droid for its class. Statement. Answer. Master, ironically enough, I seem to have developed a sudden bout of memory loss. I shall struggle to recall an answer to your question, but for now, it is sadly beyond my capabilities. Consolation. Besides, you are a fine master. Do not be worried about being rendered insignificant if I were to inadvertently compare to some silly old master I once possessed.
Yes? Is something wrong? At times, I meditate, simply close my eyes and listen. It is quite calming. I try to treasure these moments before the next crisis begins. Of course, it would be my pleasure. I try to treasure these moments before the next crisis begins. That is hardly surprising. What do you wish to know? Forgive me, but there is something I must ask. In my study of the Jedi histories and the more contemporary records, I have heard tales of a Jedi who was exiled. You are that Jedi, but the records are somewhat evasive on why this was done. I wanted to discuss why you chose to leave the Jedi Order and accept exile. I see. And because you went to war, they cast you out? Do you have a record of this trial? Perhaps I shall examine it when I get the chance, with your permission. I appreciate your trust. Thank you.
How many more do we intend to gather to us? This ship is not the galaxy. There is only so much room. Then prepare for an army, I think, for it seems many more will come in time. They will follow you because you are a leader. Their kind always needs such, even when the figure deserves no such obedience. Because I am not blind, that is why. I see what they see, hear their voices when they speak to you, and notice the change when they speak to others. I know many things, and I know what I am not. I am no leader. I speak with a voice that will never move others. I speak with a passion that goes unheard. They obey you because you are a leader, and perhaps something more. Have you noticed what has been happening? Have you felt it in them? The fool dances in your shadow for your favor. The disciple, he worships you quietly. The alien obeys you. Even within the machines, there are echoes. Watch them carefully. See their patterns. And recognize the strength in it. Influence can be a weapon, one that you may need before your journey is done. I am but a mirror whose only purpose is to show you what your own eyes cannot yet see. I care not which of the words you use, as long as you make use of that which you forge. That was Revan's way, I believe. It was a strength. Have you never asked yourself how Revan took the Republic and Jedi beneath her? how she made them hers. Ah, but to make officers turn on their own people, to bomb innocent worlds, to make pacts, strong influence indeed. And where did these Sith teachings come from? And why did Revan embrace them so strongly? So many questions, yet the answers are few. Oh, did they? No, Revan met no Sith Empire, yet she learned their teachings. Many have mistaken the soldiers beneath Revan, the machines that were constructed to be the Sith. They are wrong. The Sith is a belief, and what Revan formed was not an empire, but something else. Yet how she did it is curious. And I suspect the answer to that question is tied to another. How was Revan able to corrupt so many so quickly? Not a one, but we shall see where our journey takes us, I think, and see how many answers we come across, yes. Yes, have you come with questions? Ask, and I will answer. Atris herself is not as familiar to me as perhaps she should be, yet I feel I know her, yes. Because Atris's path is one I walked long ago, and it is a chapter of my life that has been read and closed. She has taken the first steps, I think. We shall see. Surely you felt the righteous anger, the spoken judgments, the lack of forgiveness. I was a historian once, gathering the relics of the Jedi, learning the ancient mysteries. Always there were more questions. One quickly learns that the Jedi Code does not give all the answers. If you are to truly understand, then you will need the contrast, not adherence to a single idea. That is why Atris and the others blamed me, sentenced me. They believed me responsible for Revan's fall. You have already asked much. I do not wish to speak of this any longer. Ask, and I will answer. Ignorance, and perhaps they do not remember or care. It is of no consequence to me or to them. Am I? Then perhaps you should know. There are techniques in the Force where one can cloud the memory of others, make their presence so small as to be unnoticed. And on the worlds where we have encountered these Jedi, there is much life and death where sensing such things is difficult. As I said, it is of no consequence to me or to them. No, but if I did, you would never know. So my words only carry as much worth as you believe them to. But perhaps you will understand this, that perhaps it is important to me that you see me and my actions uncloaked. It is important that your judgments, whether be good or bad, stem from seeing me as I truly am. Then you are learning quickly. Distrust is an effective shield and should be carried always. Ask, and I will answer. I misspoke before, and I do not wish to choose my words unwisely again. Leave this be.
My life for yours. I will answer what I can. If you wish to know, perhaps it is possible to show another what my people see. What I see. First, you must close your eyes. The surface of the ship, its sights, will only be a distraction. Now, in your mind, reach out. Listen for my breathing. Do not focus on the sound, but the life behind it. Imagine its energy, its texture, in tandem with the breathing. And then in your mind, step back from the image and see what remains. There. It is not as difficult as I thought. You learn quickly. It will take effort to maintain such sight, but you now have that power, and with it you can use it to see life around you in a different way, as I used to see it.